I commonly hear that men do not care at all how tall a woman is. I have also heard that some men only prefer that she is not taller than he is. I do have a minimum height for women I date. That height is 5 feet 5 inches. I do not have a logical reason for this, but any shorter than that and there is no chance I will be attracted. I am 6 feet tall, and my top preference is that she is close to my height. Story 1. Short people have disadvantages similar to tall people, but I have never ruled anyone out because of their height when it comes to dating. Story 2. I have seen many short people in my life to discriminate against those who are vertically challenged. In these trying times, who am I to turn down a short woman when I am 5 feet 8 inches tall, considered short by modern standards? Story 3. As someone who is 5 feet 10 inches tall, is there something appealing about dating a 5-foot woman? Yes, I love the short ones. But am I going to let it play much of a factor when it comes to dating? Absolutely not. I would gladly date a woman who is 6 feet 3 inches tall if we were compatible. And if I am ever single again, being with a woman taller than me is definitely on my bucket list. Story 4. I will not exclude a woman based on height, although it seems that mechanically 5 feet 9 inches has been the most ideal. Story 5. Any and all. Shorter means easy forehead kisses. Taller means I get to be the small spoon for once. Story 6. I commonly hear that men just do not care at all how tall she is. You heard right. I really could not care less. Story 7. So I, a 42-year-old male, have always preferred short women. The tallest I had dated was 5 feet 2 inches. Now I am dating the most incredible woman, and she is about my height at 5 feet 9 inches. I love it. She is right there to kiss anytime I want to. Story 8. I actually like tall women. I don't know where I got it from. I am 6 feet tall, and I won't even care if she is taller than me. Story 9. 5 feet to 5 feet 4 inches is kind of my sweet spot, but I dated up to about 5 feet 9 inches. My wife is 5 feet 3 inches, and that is perfect, but all else equal, I would have still married her if she was my height, 6 feet 2 inches. I am not an Olympic weightlifter, so it is nice to be able to comfortably carry your partner and let that fragile man ego feel big and strong. Story 10. I like them tall, way taller than me. The taller, the better, because I like to hike, climb, and plant my flag so everyone knows I have accomplished a great feat. Story 11. 5 feet 9 inches and up. I love tall and athletic women, especially those who played volleyball. My current girlfriend is 5 feet 10 inches and lifts weights. My ex is 5 feet 8 inches but was curvy. I am 6 feet tall. I have always wanted a woman who is above 6 feet tall but never came across one while single. I love my 5 feet 10 inches muscular girlfriend though. Story 12. Taller is better, but height is never a deal breaker. Chemistry is more important than any physical characteristic. Story 13. I am 6 feet 3 inches tall, so nearly everyone is shorter than me. Anything under 5 feet 8 inches causes me discomfort when leaning down to kiss or hug and also makes holding hands difficult. I have joked about having a height requirement of 5 feet 10 inches to date me, although I would never refuse to date someone because of physical traits that cannot be changed, such as height, breast size, disability, or hair color. Story 14. I am not going to let height be a factor in a woman I am dating. I am looking more at how I will be treated and the future we create, goals, careers, and what we will have for takeout for the next 60 to 80 years. Story 15. Being 6 feet 1 inch tall, and with the majority of my past relationships being 5 feet 5 inches or shorter, it would be a nice change to date someone closer to my height. That said, I absolutely do not fear a woman who is taller than me, with or without heels. Give me that. Story 16. As someone who dated a 4 foot 11 inch and a 6 foot 2 inch woman, I can say give me all the heights. They are fun in different ways. Story 17. Short women look like children next to me, like corgis. I have never considered them as long-term partners. I prefer the long legs my 5 feet 10 inches wife has. Sue me. Story 18. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall and, to be honest, I have always loved short women, like 5 feet to 5 feet 2 inches. That being said, my wife is 5 feet 6 inches tall, and I have dated women up to about 5 feet 10 inches. So it really does not matter much. Story 19. I've never dated a woman taller than me, but I did date a woman who was taller when she wore heels, and that took some getting used to. I don't think I could ever date someone over 6 feet though. Story 20. I am 5 feet 8 inches tall, and I slightly prefer being the shorter person. My only requirement is that I can comfortably kiss her on the mouth in the missionary position, which has never been an issue. Story 21. Under 7 feet and above 4 feet, it is true. As long as it is not a cartoonish difference, I do not care about a woman's height. It is not something I think about when considering whether I am attracted to someone. Story 22. I have dated a wide range of heights. I do not have a preference at all. The tallest woman I dated was 6 feet 7 inches. I am 6 feet 3 inches and it never bothered me. Story 23. Honestly, it does not matter to me. Although my ex-partners and my current girlfriend are all shorter than I am. Story 24. I like them tall, but I am 6 feet 3 inches, so the odds of meeting someone who is tall by comparison are slim to none. However, height is not really all that important in the grand scheme of things. Story 25. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall and would love to date a taller woman, but that is not easy to find. Besides that, I do not have a preference. Story 26. I am 5 feet 10 inches tall. I have dated people from 4 feet 11 inches to 6 feet 2 inches. I dated someone who was 6 feet tall, an experience I thoroughly enjoyed. Any guys who teased me by saying, "Try it sometime," I shut down quickly. Ideally, I prefer someone of the same height, equal. I am more interested in compatibility. Story 27. I guess 4 feet 9 inches may be the lowest height. Not entirely sure, but I don't really have a problem with short girls. I just don't know how tall 4 feet 9 inches is since it's been a while since I've seen a girl that small. I don't think I have a limit for how tall though. I'm 5 feet 10 inches for reference, I suppose. Story 28. Not remotely important. My wife is 5 feet tall in shoes, and if she were 6 feet tall, it would not make a difference. Story 29. I do not care. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall, and have dated women from 4 feet 8 inches to 5 feet 9 inches tall. I would date a woman taller than me if I could find one. Story 30. I am 5 feet 7 inches and I would date any height. There would be logistical challenges for sure if there were an extreme difference either way, but like they say, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, baby. Story 31. I have a mild preference for shorter girls, but it does not make much of a difference in the end. Story 32. I have started preferring taller women. I am 6 feet 3 inches tall. I used to like them tiny, between 5 feet and 5 feet 5 inches. I started liking women between 5 feet 8 inches and 6 feet 1 inch, and I must say, there are some positions that shorter women just cannot do. My current girlfriend is 5 feet 10 inches tall, and having a smaller difference in size makes many things easier and better. Story 33. I have 3 sisters-in-law, all between 5 feet 10 inches and 6 feet tall. All of them dated or married shorter men. The 6-foot-tall sister-in-law has had 3 husbands, 2 of whom are 5 feet 6 inches tall. Story 34. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. I would never avoid dating a woman of any height. However, for me, their level of attractiveness increases significantly when they are under 5 feet 3 inches. Story 35. Personally, I want a girl who is about the same height as me. I am 6 feet tall. If she is taller than me, that is great too. I have not dated a girl taller than me yet, but that would not bother me one bit. Story 36. It is not a deal breaker or anything, mostly because it is essentially unobtainable, but I would prefer if my woman was around 5 feet 10 inches. Story 37. I would prefer a height between 5 feet 5 inches and 5 feet 9 inches. However, I will not disqualify any woman I think would be a good match based on height, although anything under 4 feet 11 inches would be difficult. Story 38. Prefer within 3-inch difference in either direction, but really anything over 5.5 feet is good. Story 39. Just not taller than me. I am 6 feet 3 inches. I feel uncomfortable being next to anyone who is taller than me. It is a strange sensation that I suppose other people are accustomed to, but not me. Story 40. There are many factors, but if we say everything else is excellent, 4 feet 10 inches is the minimum, though that is a bit of a stretch. There is no limit for me on the other end of the scale. I am confident enough when I have dated someone taller than me. I own it. To set the picture, I am not short, but I am not overly tall. I am 5 feet 11 inches as an adult male. Can I claim the half inch I have on that and then round up to 6 feet? Story 41. Height preferences are just socially acceptable ways to say, I made up arbitrary rules and now live by them. Date someone who does not drain your soul. 5 feet 1 inch or 6 feet 3 inches. That is the real metric. Story 42. I prefer women to be shorter than me, but it is not a deal breaker if they are taller. I am not going to turn down an attractive woman simply because she is taller than me. Story 43. I do not really care, but I would rather a woman be too tall than too short. I associate short with pudgy and tall with slim and leggy. Story 44. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall. The tallest woman I have dated was 6 feet 1 inch, and the shortest was 4 feet 11 inches. I definitely prefer shorter, but it is not a deal breaker. Story 45. I like both very short women, tiny and cute, and very tall women. With a tall woman lying in my lap and playing footsie with me, I feel comfortable and at home. She is shorter than me, as I am not trying to be dominated. My preferred height range is from 4 feet 7 inches to 6 feet 2 inches. Story 46. Genuinely, I do not care. Height preferences are a relic of heteronormativity in my view. If I do not want girls to disqualify me over height, why would I not do the same? Also, I kind of want a muscular woman to punch me. Story 47. As a 5'3" woman, I had no idea that my height would ever be a factor in someone not being attracted to me. That is surprising. Story 48. I am 5 feet 7 inches tall, so the vast majority of women in my country are not that far off in either direction. 5 feet flat is the same difference for me as your 5 feet 5 inches rule is. If I have a particular preference, I have never encountered enough of an outlier for it to be an issue. Story 49. I am 6 feet tall. Based on my dating history and preference, I like them short, around 5 feet 3 inches. Something about being able to toss them around appeals to me. However, I will say that I would not turn down a tall, beautiful woman, and I have been with a few in my time. Again, it is just a preference, not a requirement. Story 50. Shorter than me, but not by more than a few centimeters, which is not really a problem since I am 5 feet 11 inches tall, which is taller than I think 95% of women or some very high number like that. I would not be interested in a woman shorter than about 4 feet 11 inches though. I am always shocked that many of my male friends complain about women having fussy standards with height, while they refer to any woman above 5 feet 9 inches as a quarterback. Story 51. I am unfortunately very self-conscious about it, so I am not sure. I think it is because of bad experiences. I am 5 feet 6 inches, so probably 5 feet 10 inches would be my limit. Story 52. I am 6 feet 3 inches tall and have always been attracted to short, fit women. 4 feet 11 inches was the shortest I have been with. However, I have also been with a woman who was 6 feet tall. I married a woman who was 5 feet 10 inches tall. My point is that my preferred height never excludes others. It has always seemed strange to me when people set arbitrary physical trait requirements, especially when these limits severely reduce the dating pool. Story 53. Just shorter, but my wife is the same height. She wants me taller, and I want her shorter. However, 69 lines up well. Story 54. 5 feet 0 inches to 5 feet 11 inches. I am 6 feet 1 inch, so maybe 6 feet 0 inches and up would be fine, but I have not had experiences yet. However, height does not matter to me in the slightest. Story 55. 6 feet 1 inch preference is 5 feet 2 inches to 5 feet 6 inches. Wifey is right in the middle. It is nice to carry her around on a whim or when she hurts herself. She also seems a perfect height for body alignment. Story 56. I seem to end up with women in the 5 feet 4 inches to 5 feet 6 inches range, but if my wife and I were to divorce, I would make it a point to date a woman who is at least 5 feet 10 inches, but preferably 6 feet 0 inches. I have never been with a tall woman and have always wanted to see what it is like. Story 57. I like tall girls. Tall to me is 5 feet 7 inches and above. I am a short dude. I had an ex once who was 6 feet. He was great. My current girlfriend is 5 feet 9 inches, which feels perfect. Story 58. Well, my fiancé is 5 feet 1 inch, and honestly, I think that is ideal for me. I do not really find tall women attractive in general. It depends on the person, of course, but it is pretty rare. Short it is. Story 59. I think 4 feet 10 inches might be the shortest a woman could be before I start being less attracted. I absolutely adore a tall woman, though. Like taller than 5 feet 8 inches is very sexy. But I don't get to be her special top shelf grabber, unfortunately. Story 60. I'm a shortish guy at 5 feet 8 inches. I like women between 5 feet 3 inches and 5 feet 8 inches. Somewhat tall, relatively. This is not a hard rule by any means, but it's nice to be within this range. Story 61. I love short girls. They are so cute, and I just want to pick them up, hold them, and feel like I am protecting them. I would not turn away a good woman the same height as me, of course, but I really love it when they are short. Story 62. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. It is hard to find a woman who is taller than me, so I will say that up to and including my height is great. If they are too short, it is a deal breaker just to be able to kiss conveniently and other similar things. Story 63. I could care less how tall she is. I've wondered what all the nonsense was about when I constantly saw posts about how tall a man had to be so a woman could date him. I'm not an accessory. Neither are any of you. That goes for you, original poster. I get it, if you aren't attracted, you aren't attracted. But if she's 5 feet 4 inches and you put 2-inch heels on her, she's an inch over your minimum and now she's acceptable? I just don't know when this trait became such a popular flaw. I'd like to understand more because it seems so shallow and dismissive that it makes my skin crawl. No offense, brother. It's how it affects me, not what I think of you. I just have yet to get my head around the topic. Thank you. Maybe as I read this I'll get some answers. Story 64. Literally anything taller than a person of short stature. That is just too short and my back would get damaged. Story 65. I try to aim for someone taller than me, 5 feet 5 inches, so our children have a chance at better. Also, I like a full figure and larger women have fuller figures. Story 66. I'm 6 foot tall. When I used dating sites, I would omit height preferences. But when I was required to enter height preferences, I would enter 4'11" to 7 foot, marking it as not a deal breaker. If I was getting many matches, I might modify it to 5'4" to 6'5". However, in real life, I am not paying attention to height. Story 67. From my single days years ago, minimum height could not be so short as to be mistaken for a child. Not sure what number that is, but it is the kind of thing you know when you see it. Probably could have gone under 5 feet, but not anywhere near 4 feet. Maximum height. Never seen a woman and thought too tall for me. I am 6 feet tall. Story 68. I am 196 centimeters tall, which is a bit over 6 feet. I have a minimum height requirement, but I do not know exactly what it is. If the top of her head rests below my chin when we stand facing each other, she is too short. I do not have an upper limit. I once dated a gorgeous 188 centimeter Icelandic blonde who loved to wear heels. She was stunning and an absolutely extraordinary partner because she matched my height. Story 69. I am not dating, nor will I ever again, but if I did, I would go for whoever's chest is at face level. Probably 7 feet 6 inches. If I am going to enter the fray again, it might as well be to get into Valhalla. Story 70. Preferred height? Like 5 feet 4 inches and under. Will I date someone taller than that, or even taller than me? Absolutely, I will. I'm all for climbing trees. Story 71. I am 6 feet 3 inches tall, so I am comfortable dating girls who are 5 feet 2 inches and taller. Dating girls shorter than 5 feet 2 inches may be a bit difficult for me due to the height difference. Story 72. My wife is 5 feet 0 inches, and she is very pretty. I actually do wish she were slightly taller, say 5 feet 3 inches, but it obviously was not a deal breaker. Story 73. As long as they are not too short, like 4 feet something, or taller than me, 6 feet 3 inches, as long as we are compatible and you are a cool person, I am down. Story 74. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall and have a strong preference for petite, usually short women. I am rarely attracted to a woman over 5 feet 6 inches. Story 75. I am a little over 5 feet 10 inches without shoes, and depending on the shoes I am wearing, I am about 6 feet tall. So really, 5 feet 7 inches to 5 feet 9 inches is the perfect height if I were to design a girlfriend. Ultimately, that is just so I do not have to bend down so much every time I kiss her. Story 76. I cannot emphasize how little I care about the height of my partner. That does not even begin to enter into the equation at all. She could be 7 feet tall or the tiny 5 feet 2 inches she is now. I do not care. Story 77. I am short, and at least for me, short guys like women who are their height or even maybe an inch taller. Tall guys like short girls, at least for me. Story 78. Minimum 5 feet 4 inches. Below that feels just too short to me, like I was walking with my daughter, and I don't even have kids. Maximum 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches. Since estrogen actually stops growth by fusing the growth plates together, taller than this already starts feeling a bit more manly. I am 5 feet 7 inches. Story 79. 5 feet 5 inches to 5 feet 7 inches is perfect for me. Taller than average, but shorter than me with high heels. Tall potential kids typically have proportionally longer legs and a body type I like, but you can also find this in shorter girls too. Maybe just me, but with this body type, I feel like the sex is better and more fluid. Story 80. As a 5'4" woman, I thought I had an average height. I have no idea I am too short by current standards. Story 81. I don't really care. I'll even go along with most jokes if she happens to be much taller than me. I just don't want someone who constantly reminds me about it. I am 178 centimeters tall. Story 82. I do not really care. I will even go along with most jokes if she happens to be a lot taller than me. I just do not want someone who constantly reminds me about it. I am 178 centimeters tall. Story 83. I do not care about her height. It is genetic, and I do not see it as an issue to worry about since neither of us can do anything about it. Story 84. I prefer the same or similar height, but it is not critical. I have dated a wide range of heights, from much shorter to much taller. This has never been an issue. Relationships are personal. Whatever works for you does not matter much what everyone else thinks or what does or does not work for them. Story 85. Both ends are most appealing, but I am unusual anyway in how I would avoid anyone with the Instagram appearance. Story 86. I base my dating on personality, common interests, and not physical attributes. I would absolutely date a person of short stature if we connected, and I would date a woman over 2 meters tall as well. I do not see how either extreme would affect our relationship in any meaningful way. Story 87. I am 5 feet 9 inches tall, and my girlfriend is a few inches shorter than me. She likes that ratio, but I do not have any preference for height. She could be a little person or 7 feet tall, and I would not care in the slightest. Story 88. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. I like my women shorter than me, but I have dated women close to my height. I have even seen women taller than me that I find attractive, like Angel Reese. I do not care how short they are as long as their body is proportional. It has definitely been between the 5 feet 2 inches and 5 feet 7 inches range, I would say. Story 89. I am a 30-year-old female, 174 centimeters tall, and I prefer a man who is 185 centimeters or taller. I don't know why. I just find it attractive. In reality, I have a man who is 173 centimeters tall. I love him a lot and completely don't mind the height difference anymore. It works both ways. He prefers shorter women and ended up with me. Story 90. Preference? Smaller than I am. Is it a hard stop for me? Not at all. I have dated a woman who is a head taller than I am. Story 91. I like them on the taller side, even though I am on the shorter side. Taller, thick, and curvy. Story 92. I literally do not care. I am quite a short guy, 5 feet 8 inches, so everyone is taller than me anyway. I will go up to a lady. Story 93. The fact that she is interested in spending time with me doing fun activities like board game days, watching television shows, and searching for the lost city of Atlantis. Story 94. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall, and all I seem to attract lately are women who are barely 5 feet tall. It is just not sustainable. I would prefer a woman who is 5 feet 4 inches and taller. Story 95. From a head shorter to several taller. As someone shorter than 6 feet myself, I have only once experienced having to tilt my head up when kissing someone, but I did not mind one bit. Story 96. I am really tall myself, so I prefer taller women. My girlfriend is 6 feet 2 inches, and I absolutely love being with someone close to my height after dating women for years who were consistently a foot or more shorter than me. Story 97. I prefer she is taller than me or the same height, but I have only met about 5 of those in my whole life, so I do not really care. She can be 20 to 25 centimeters shorter, and it is fine, even though I would prefer if the difference was more like 15 centimeters, I guess. Story 98. If I am vibing with someone, height is not going to hold me back. I do not really know how to answer this, to be honest. I will give it my best shot. I am 5 feet 11 inches, so that height and under, I guess. But I will chill with a woman who is 6 feet or more if we are clicking. Story 99. The ones that say they do not care at all kind of lie because we all have a preference in height. I am tall, around 190 centimeters, and my girlfriend is 160 centimeters. It is not optimal for several reasons. We cannot hold hands and walk comfortably, and that annoys me. I look like a condemned crooked building when I do. Story 100. I am 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 10 inches tall. I date girls who are much shorter than me and girls over 6 feet tall. There are advantages and disadvantages to both. I do not really care which. Story 101. I am 6 feet tall and prefer women 5 feet 3 inches and under. I will not turn down a girl who is taller than that, but I prefer the body type of 5 feet 3 inches and 120 pounds or under. Story 102. I don't really care about women's height, to be honest, but if I had to pick an ideal range, I would say 5 feet 5 inches to 5 feet 9 inches. Realistically, if I liked her, I would say 5 feet and up. I do not know if I would date a girl taller than me. I had crushes on girls who were taller than me when I was younger, but now at my current height of 6 feet 2 inches, I do not encounter girls taller than me very often, so I do not know how I would react. Story 103. Shorter than 5 feet seems like it would be strange. I would date a woman taller than me at 5 feet 10 inches if she expressed interest, but I am not actively seeking that. Story 104. I don't think men have a problem with tall women at all. I think men have a problem with taller women projecting their insecurities onto them. I am 5 feet 9 inches, and I have dated women who were 5 feet 10 inches and 6 feet tall. We always had that awkward conversation about her assuming I was more comfortable with her wearing flats. I would say, "What? Let me see those heels, booties, and wedges." Story 105. You are brave to post about height. I am 5 feet 9 inches, female, and get torn to shreds when I say that I will only date men who are my height or taller. Like I am a horrible, self-centered person who needs to do some internal work on my value system. Now, I know full well these are just very short people who have been hurt by it their whole lives or are so insecure about something that they feel the need to project it onto a stranger on the internet. But for the life of me, I still cannot fully grasp the heat around the topic. If height matters, it does, period. Be your authentic self. Date who you want. You know who you are. Story 106. They are all roughly the same height horizontally. I did have one ex who was exactly my height, 5 feet 10 inches, and those were good times. Story 107. Yes, I am 5 feet 10 inches tall, and am only really attracted to women who are 5 feet 4 inches and shorter. In my mind, I keep thinking, too tall, she is too tall, too tall. On a repeated loop if she is 5 feet 6 inches or taller. Story 108. I am 6 feet tall and I honestly do not care. I tend to prefer shorter individuals, but I have also dated a 6'2" volleyball player. Story 109. Most of the girls I have been with are under 5'4" tall. I did not choose this life. The short girl life chose me. Story 110. Eye level with her heels on gives both of us some balance. The power dynamics change when the heels come off. If she is wearing heels, we are on a date night and we are going to be late. Story 111. I prefer short girls usually, but I am a little over 6 feet tall, so it is also rare I encounter a girl as tall as me. I had a friend I had a crush on when I was younger who was about 4 feet 11 inches. My wife is maybe 5 feet 5 inches. It just depends on the girl. Story 112. I cannot count the number of women I have met who are taller than me on one hand, so I do not have a preference. Story 113. I actually do not mind any height. I just need a good woman. I am 6 feet tall. I have dated a couple of tall women, from 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 11 inches. I found them very attractive. Story 114. No height requirements. Prefer someone who enjoys social dancing. Smaller followers allow us to train for lifts and more physical moves. Taller followers make all movements bigger, so we focus on grace and fluid movement. Story 115. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall, and I like women who are my height or taller. I will also date shorter women, from about 4 feet 8 inches to 6 feet 8 inches in height. Story 116. I am 6 feet tall. I have dated women from 4 feet 11 inches to 6 feet 8 inches. Their attitude determines their perceived height more than their actual height. Story 117. There are pros and cons to short, medium, or tall heights. Any would be fine. I think a taller woman would have to be on the skinnier side, though. Story 118. I am 6'2". I prefer women 5 feet 7 inches to just under 6 feet tall. I like long legs and the long arms that come with that package. I date women who are not overweight. Those nice long, thin legs, thighs, and arms are what I find most feminine and attractive in women. Story 119. Men do not care. I am a 5'11" woman who loves high heels. I have rarely ever been single. Short men have dated me. Tall men have dated me. No man has ever said, "No, you are too tall," or "Do not wear heels." Story 120. Any. Shorter means she is cuter. Same height as me means we can share clothes, which is why my girlfriend and I do. Taller means I climb that. Story 121. I used to not care, but I realized dating women shorter than 5 feet 9 inches makes some positions impossible. I do like them really short, but I like variety in sex. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. Story 122. At 6 feet 3 inches, I doubt I will find a woman taller than me who would be interested. Generally, it depends on other factors. Height is a minor preference. The shortest I have dated is 5 feet 1 inch. Story 123. I am around your height. I would prefer a woman close to my own height, but with women my age rarely being that tall, it is not exactly set in stone. Story 124. Could not care less if it is there. You do not have a choice when that thunderbolt hits you. But we are all about the same height horizontally, which is where it counts. Story 125. There is a certain height difference that makes kissing and intimacy easier, which is about 3 to 4 inches shorter. However, in terms of attractiveness, I am comfortable with anyone who is not a person with dwarfism or whatever the current terminology is. Story 126. I am also 5 feet 8 inches tall, and heels make me very tall, but men love it. Toned long legs also help. Come here, short kings. I got you. Story 127. Preferred height? Like 6 feet, just a tad shorter than me. Realistically, I do not care, just no extremes like 6 feet 4 inches or 5 feet. Story 128. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. I prefer women who are 5 feet 2 inches to 5 feet 5 inches tall. I like my women petite and feminine and love an attractive woman in heels. The maximum height I prefer is 5 feet 9 inches. Story 129. I am average height but prefer women who are shorter than average, around 5 feet 3 inches in Australia. However, I am attracted to women of any height. While I prefer petite women, Taller and larger women are also nice to feel a more equal size to. Story 130. 5 feet 3 inches and lower, 5 feet 10 inches and up. Small ones are fun to toss around, and the tall ones are fun because of height compatibility. The shortest girl I dated had a form of dwarfism that I cannot remember, which kept her proportional but about 4 feet 8 inches tall. She and some of her friends and my friends were sitting at a table together before I showed up, and we hit it off right away before I realized how tiny she was. The tallest girl I ever dated was 6 feet 4 inches. She played center for a Division I women's basketball team. My friend was dating her teammate, and they were going out and brought me along. We hit it off over basketball, and her dad was a big fishing enthusiast, as was I. Story 131. Just 4 things, but none of them are height requirements. 2 breasts, a vagina, and a dark sense of humor. Story 132. Well, if I could find someone taller than me, that would be neat. Aside from that, I do not care if they are a giant or very short. It is generally not something that crosses my mind. Story 133. Between 5 feet 2 inches and 5 feet 8 inches for me would be ideal, but I would not dismiss someone taller than that if I found them attractive. I am 5 feet 10 inches, by the way. Story 134. I'm 5 feet 10 inches tall. My current girlfriend is maybe half an inch or so taller than me. The shortest woman I dated was 4 feet 8 inches, and I've dated every height in between. Pros and cons. Shorter women are fun because they are easier to throw or carry around. Taller women, in my experience, are generally more confident and easygoing. I had a girlfriend who was 5 feet 7 inches and found myself shrinking down around her because she made me feel bad. She commented on this and made me feel worse. I hooked up with a woman a long time ago who was 6 feet 4 inches and around 230 pounds. I felt like a little guy. It was weird. Like everything related to dating, if they treat you well and you're attracted to them, height doesn't matter much. Story 135. 4 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 3 inches. I am 5 feet 5 inches, and anyone would never date a woman who is 5 feet 4 inches or taller. Short women are very beautiful. Story 136. Height was not really a factor for me, but there was a slight preference for shorter girls, for feet 10 inches to 5 feet 1 inch. However, no height was a deal breaker, other than maybe a girl being able to literally look down on me, which is very rare. I am 6 feet 1 inch tall. Even then, if she was cute enough, I would probably give it a shot. Story 137. I prefer a height between 5 feet 8 inches and 6 feet 2 inches. The woman I am currently seeing is 5 feet 11 inches tall, and the previous one was 6 feet 1 inch tall. I also have a crush on a childhood friend who is 6 feet 4 inches tall. I would only date a shorter woman for casual relationships. I would never consider having a child with one. Story 138. Can't wait to read these because as a 5'9" or 10-inch woman, I find it matters a lot. I have been told I am beautiful my whole life, but I have met many men who prefer very tiny women, and there is a joke that at the end of the night, only girls over 5'8" are left at the bar. So confusing to me. Story 139. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. I have never dated anyone taller than myself. It is not really a preference, it just worked out that way. Mostly, they are between 5 feet and 5 feet 6 inches tall. Story 140. My lower limit is very small. I love petite women, but if they are too short, they can look stubby. I don't have an upper limit in terms of physical attraction, but I am not tall and would probably feel insecure if she is 4 inches or more taller than me. Story 141. Although if a woman 6 feet tall wants to go on a date with me, 5 feet 10 inches, I start suspecting whether she is actually interested in me or if she only agrees for a free meal. Her height alone will not be a deal breaker, but I will be skeptical. Story 142. I am 6 feet 2 inches tall. I have a preference for short girls. The tallest was about 5 feet 8 inches, and the shortest was 5 feet. Tall girls seem like guys to me. I can see when she has a pretty face or nice body, but in general, it does not spark attraction. If I am forced to be around her, attraction can develop. That is what happened with the 5 feet 8 inches girl. Story 143. I am attracted to girls as short as 4 feet 11 inches as a 5 feet 11 inch guy, but I will say girls 5 feet 2 inches and under cause discomfort in my body because I instinctively try to level with people by slouching my back. Story 144. For some reason, I mainly attract Latina women, so they are usually around 5 feet 2 inches, plus or minus 3 inches. My current girlfriend is 4 feet 11 inches. I think my first girlfriend, who was white, was around 5 feet 6 inches. I would not go looking for tall girls. Story 145. Honestly, I don't care if she is 4 feet 8 inches or 7 feet tall. Whether it is Project Biles or Project Wemby, either way. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.